Welcome to the Bonita Business Podcast, where we bring you behind-the-scenes insights and unexpected ideas, ones that are creating business and career success right here in my chosen hometown of Bonita Springs, Florida. I'm your host, Bonita business coach Darcy Eikenberg. I'm the author of Bring Your Superpowers to Work and the founder of the leadership development firm RedCapeRevolution.com. I'm so glad you're here with me today. So let me ask you this. What if every day thousands of people turn to you as a resource for recommendations and ideas in your area of expertise? What kind of impact would that make on your business as well as on the lives of your customers? Well, that's what realtor Chris Griffith is doing right here in Bonita Springs. In this interview, Chris and I talk about her incredibly active and useful Facebook group. Oh, now I hear you. If you're like some of my business coaching clients, you might be thinking, what, wait, a Facebook group? Aren't Facebook's glory days behind it? And as a business tool, isn't social media just a massive waste of time? Well, listen to this episode, and you might find a way that you can think differently about using Facebook or another tool to help you build a community of your potential clients and customers that not only serves them, but serves your business too. Here's my interview with Chris Griffith of Downing Fry Realty. Welcome to the Bonita Business Podcast, Chris. I'm so glad to have a chance to talk to you today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So tell me, one of the things that made me want to come and spend a little time with you. You have a real estate business, and there's a lot of people that have real estate businesses, but you're doing something online that feels very different from what a lot of people locally in real estate are doing. So can you tell me a little bit about the Facebook group that you run online?
I have a Facebook group called the Bonita Springs Estero Community Forum, and it is a sort of locals only group. We screen everybody that comes in. I don't know if you're aware of that, but you probably had to answer questions that say that you are aware that it's for locals, even if you're just a visitor or on vacation. And also that you promise not to advertise or spam the members. We do police the group. It's very civil. We don't allow conversations that you wouldn't have in front of your grandmother. And it's mostly supposed to be a resource for people who live here. So basically, I think we're over 7,000 people. Yeah. I mean, screen down to that, because people that just aren't a fit sort of fade away with help. And it's for owners that are looking for something to do, and they ask basic questions: where to get their hair colored, or where to find a plumber, or what to do. Actually, during the hurricane, we kind of ran our group. Our group was like a little mini city, so anybody that was involved was able to either get their shutters up or get plywood or get gas. I mean, if somebody knew where it was, it got posted in the group. And it was a tremendous resource.
Well, and it's really interesting when you're talking about being a mini city. And yes, the last time I checked, it was over 7,000 people. And you think about Bonita and Estero. Bonita's about 60,000. Estero's maybe 30. And, we know we have an influx of visitors and things too. But, it's like 8% of people who live here are in that group. And so tell me why you decided to do this as part of all the different things that you could be doing connected to your business and to the community. Why this?
Well, I always say everybody stands on the shoulders of giants. So there are people before me that did great things on the internet, and I'm a huge fan of a woman. Her name is Linda Davis, and she lives in Ledyard, Connecticut, and she has a community forum, and her city or village is a lot smaller, and you actually have to live there. That's how tightly they run their group. And she was always on me. You've got to do this. You've got to do this, especially given our environment and our storm season. They deal with blizzards. We deal with hurricanes. And she said, there'll come a point where there won't be any way for people to communicate except for through smartphones and through Facebook and things like that. And there were. I mean, I know people that had no phone service. They had no internet. They had nothing but as soon, one of the first things that happens is when the storm passes through, there are people who drive and put generators on the cell phone towers. They literally hook them to Honda generators and fill them with gas every couple hours so that people can get information. And there were people who their only source of news was through Facebook in our group because they couldn't get anything else and you couldn't stream video. And heaven forbid anybody sends you a photo or a video and clog your phone trying to download or upload anything.
Right.
So people went and got their own information and it was real time. Mm-hmm. So if somebody needed something right then, we had put specific posts that were about ice. So if somebody knew where ice was, it went in the comments of the photo about ice and people knew to get in their car really quickly and go get it.
But back to real time, back to giving people real time information in a way that they could access it when sort of their traditional modes are not available. Right. But, even today, so, we're doing this at a time when right now we, knock wood, we don't have a hurricane approaching, and people use this group for, as you mentioned, lots of different things, where to get my hair done. I have where to get my dog clipped, lots of things. So what does that do for you as someone who's a real estate professional? So tell me more about, the business side of spending some time and energy in running this group.
It is a lot of time and it is a lot of energy, but I'm really grateful I have help. I have a couple of other administrators. One that was an administrator we kind of acquired during the hurricane because we had 3 administrators and we were all here. So when we had no power, there would be nobody controlling this whole group. So Angela and I have a gal that works with us, and she was in Atlanta.
Angela, your daughter-in-law.
Angela, my daughter-in-law. Excuse me. And so this gal Jenna was up in Atlanta, and she ran the group. I think 3 days before I even was able to get online to do anything. She said it was the most stressful time of her life. It was like herding cats because everybody wants to just ask the same question, and our goal is to keep people from asking the same question 1,000 times. So that's why we kind of harvest all of the subject matter in one spot. As far as business, I think the group is fine and good for business, but I think part of it is I've just lived here since the mid-'80s, so people ask a lot of questions, and I have the benefit of having a little bit of history from when there was only a couple thousand people here until it became this city. And then that combined with the group and, I've been a real estate agent for 20 years. So it's not a driving force in my business. It's just a facet and a component. People recognize me. I don't go out without makeup on. Because I'm telling you, people are, they finger quote know me because we're always online or, there's a lot of videos that we've done. And I don't know if you were in the group over Christmas.
I might have been, but
we were going to give away Christmas gifts for a whole week and it ended up being over a month because then businesses would say, well, we've got some jewelry, B. Franklin Jewelers. We're like, we've got all this jewelry. Would you like to give away jewelry? So we gave away jewelry every day. We were giving away something. So
not only, it's obviously it's visibility for you, but it's also what I hear you saying is that there are other businesses that you support. And I know that you do, an isolated day where you can talk about your business, so you really monitor it really tightly. So people don't feel like they're being sold, but you make a point to say, okay, today's the day where if you have something you want to talk about what you do, you can talk about it here.
Well, and I think more importantly, the people who are dedicated members of the group, they've branded themselves. I mean, yesterday or the day before, somebody asked where grandparents who have never fished before could take their grandson fishing. And everybody said, well, you have to call Captain Dino. Like, and Dino's your guy, and Durango's your driver, and there's electricians by name and plumbers by name because they take the time to be in the group and they care about Bonita and people care about using local businesses and it's sort of like a big mini family.
Yeah. So you mentioned time. You mentioned it takes some time. So tell me about what the average week looks like and how that fits into other things that you're doing.
Well, I'm an early bird, so if I do anything online, it's, 4 to 8 or 9 in the morning until my day gets going and I'm out the door on my regular appointments. But like I said, I have other people. And I think most importantly, the people who are in the group protect it so fiercely now that people will call me or people will text me and say, you've got to go stop this. Mm-hmm. If there's a conversation that's out of hand or we allow people, for example, to promote an announcement. Like if there was going to be like some sort of a political roundtable, you're allowed to promote because we want everybody to go. Mm-hmm. But you're not allowed to come in and promote a particular candidate. Gotcha. So, mm-hmm. You can put announcements or you can say you don't want to miss this. They're talking about, the waterway health or whatever, but you can't come in and stump for a candidate. You also can't come in and bash a business. Mm-hmm. Businesses succeed by people building them up, and bad businesses go out of business. So, I always say that's what Yelp is for. If you had a bad experience, go share it with the masses on Yelp. In our group, we promote the good businesses. I'm sorry you had an unfortunate experience, but that's just not how we do business in there. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, the frame of good news, because mm-hmm. a lot of times when I talk to business owners as a business coach, if I talk to business owners about things like involving social media, using, the tools mm-hmm. to promote your business, to help, more importantly, help your customers or your mm-hmm. clients, then there's this fear that, well, how do I manage the trolls? But it sounds like you've done two things. One, you censor the right audience, if you will, on the front end, mm-hmm. and your group keeps it clean for you. People pick up after themselves.
Well, they know it's a special environment. I mean, because you can go, for example, back to the hurricane, during the whole hurricane, we had our group that was getting people air conditioning and power and gas and ice and food and whatever else they needed. Mm-hmm. And then there were other groups that weren't doing that, and everybody was just infighting and name calling, and there's nonsensical stuff that happens, and people understand that and they want to make sure. And that's why when I say I get the phone call, they know it's not the spirit of the group. And honestly, there's usually 2 or 3 people who are watching because sometimes they get a little sloppy around wine o'clock, and and I'm sort of like, it's not that we don't like them. It's just that they're not a fit. They're just not a fit. It's not what the rest of the group is about, and negative people don't need to be there. So,
yeah. So we started talking about in the morning is when you'll mm-hmm. typically go out to social media. So how much time overall across the week does it take you to keep it running well, running to the quality standards mm-hmm. that you want?
Well, it's just a glance in the morning to make sure no nonsense didn't happen overnight, mm-hmm. and to look at applicants that have either joined, or if people have invited like a sister or brother, to make sure that they've answered the questions. Some people are very vague, or they don't have photos, or their profile's locked down, and it's hard to determine whether or not we should let them in. So it's mere minutes in the morning. If I'm waiting for an appointment, if I've got 10 minutes to kill, I just go make sure. But like I said, I've got another admin down in Naples, and she's a night owl, so she's up late. So she's in the night shift. And then we've got Angela, my daughter-in-law, and Jenna, the gal that helps us, and people kind of police it themselves. Mm-hmm. You can turn off comments. And there's a new feature. You can also snooze somebody. So if somebody is, repeatedly unpredictable, you can just take away their ability to comment, so they don't leave their smart remarks.
Yeah, so the tools are there to be able to run it the way that you. I mean,
it's like the ocean. You can't turn your back on it.
It keeps moving. It keeps the waves keep coming in and out.
And sometimes a conversation will go sideways. Somebody will shut down the comments, and sometimes somebody will start a new thread, and we'll shut down that comment too, and I'll send a message, and I'm like, look, it's not constructive. It's sort of like one of the rules that we have is nobody's allowed to talk about the roundabout. Nobody's allowed to talk about the roundabout because, number one, it's already there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're there. It's just going to be there, and people don't like change, mm-hmm. and complaining about it isn't going to change the situation. And it's the Darwin effect. The people that can't figure out the roundabout will go the other way at some point. So, every once in a while, somebody will bring up the roundabout, and we have I don't know if you've seen it, but we have like a little fake, it's a photograph of a money jar, and it says roundabout penalty jar. Oh. And we'll post that in the comments and shut them off. Like, we're done with the roundabout. And we don't allow people to pick on snowbirds. Everybody will come in there and complain about traffic and drivers from whatever state. And it's not nice and it's not fair.
Hey, it's Coach Darcy here, and just a quick reminder that after the show, come on over to BonitaBusinessPodcast.com. There, you'll find show notes with more resources, photos, and other tools related to the episode you're listening to right now. You can also sign up to get regular email updates from me as new podcasts come out. You won't want to miss what's ahead, so be sure to visit Bonita Business Podcast today. Now, let's go back to my interview. What I hear is you have a very clear vision for the conversation that you want to have in the community. You're being helpful, service-oriented, neighbors helping neighbors in so many ways. Yeah. So you did share that you started this because somebody that you followed, a friend of yours or colleague, was doing it in her local community. If someone wanted to do this for a business, for their audience, to serve the people of whether it's their community, where would they start today? Like, with all your experience that you had doing this, how would somebody start?
Well, number one, you form the group. Number two, you start building your tribe, and whether it's seated with friends or family members or people, you just send them a message and say, look, I'm going to try to launch something. I'm going to put 20 people in there, and you start a conversation, and you can ask people, so where is the best pizza in town? And people really have opinions about food. And there are a lot of people here from New York and Chicago, so they really have opinions about pizza. So it's very easy to start a conversation. Whatever your subject or medium is, people will, they like unbiased opinions, when they're solicited. And that's the key is, these are people that are asking for the opinion. So if you have some sort of a business where people need to learn more or find out more, give them an opportunity to ask and give other customers or clients the opportunity to answer. And that'll be your tribe. That's how you develop a loyal following.
And the piece that it really resonates with me on that is that you are trusting your customers, trusting your audience, because I think a lot of times I hear business owners worry about what are they going to say. And the fact is, if you're doing a great job, if you're delivering in the way that, supports your promise,
correct,
you don't have anything to worry about. I mean, there's always going to be the troll. There's always going to be the person who is, who just has had a bad day.
Well, even in this group, there are people that have been unhappy with me because I've removed a post or closed it down, and because I've ended conversations. And you know what? There are other Facebook groups that want that kind of unsolicited language. So I always say, go get them, Tiger. It's just not in here, So,
yeah. So this is obviously not your primary business. No. So you are a 20-year real estate agent, as you said. So tell me about what you see happening in, the world of real estate right now for Bonita.
Well, I mean, things are great here. I mean, we've got numbers on our side. 8,000 to 10,000 Americans are turning 65 every day. And a lot of them don't want to be cold anymore. So, what we've actually seen is a shift. A lot of people had second homes here. And as they've turned 65, or they've actually decided to retire or form residency for tax benefits, they moved into these second homes. And that's what's caused the pinch in our market is simply people have actually retired. The last building boom cycle was built on speculation, was about 10 years ahead of itself. And this is actually people that really are aging into their second home, which has caused another ripple, and that's no rentals, because people moved into these second homes that used to be rentals. And we have folks call all the time looking for a vacation rental, and they're few and far between right now.
What's the biggest change that you've seen in just even the past 4 or 5 years? Because it does seem like that Bonita is continuing to obviously grow, and it's not a sleepy little retirement town anymore.
Right.
So what have you seen through your eyes?
Well, I think that we are like a special area, partly because when the housing market went through the downturn, we were so much new product here, so much new product. And at the time, I was writing a real estate column for the Naples Daily News, and I was flipping through listings in a community, and there were just so many, and I sat and I did an absorption rate. There was 33 years of inventory in that one neighborhood alone. And that was because all of the new stuff kind of just burst, and everybody walked away.
So if I translate that into so when this is real estate talk. So when you say 33 years of inventory, in other words, it would take 33 years for all those houses to be sold or rented or filled. Okay.
And that was just in that one neighborhood. So, our recovery was so much different than the rest of the world, because it was like the dam broke here where we had to wait elsewhere for adjustable rate mortgages to adjust. So people, didn't have the impact that we had. It wasn't that someone bought a house. There were literally people that bought 10 houses and walked away from 10 houses. So we were different right off the bat. So, 09 and 10 were the years that people really got the great foreclosure deal. So we've been on a totally different wavelength with real estate and the economy than the rest of the country because of that new product burst up front. So I don't know. We've slowly seen people coming in here, quietly buying, quietly investing, quietly renovating, not so much the flippers that we had back in, the 04, 05 time frame. And it's just, I think it's been slowly built up, and it's very, very stable, instead of any sort of speculation. And, people have a lot of pride in the city with the incorporation, or the city of Estero. Things are changing even to the north of us. I just think it's a great place to live on this coast.
What's the one thing, if you had a magic wand, knowing all you've known and all the history and everything in Bonita, what's the one thing that you wish was different, better, some kind of improvement that you would make with that magic wand?
Well, water quality is on everybody's mind, so it would have really been interesting to have affected change on that back in the day, because we would never believe that the population would grow so much. If it's happened here, it's happened everywhere. It's just the nature of our population shift right now. So I think that would be something that would have really been great to have had happened.
So your participants in the group are talking about water quality too. What other issues are you hearing maybe come up over and over, because you kind of have a lens on where the mood of people are and people coming in? What are the trends and the issues you're hearing?
Well, I think people, aside from the water quality issue, they want beach access. And there is, I think Bonita Springs has some of the most parking for beach access in the area, when you see that we're on Leanne Collier and we've got Barefoot Beach and Bonita Beach. But still, population wise, it's going to put a crimp into the beach access. And I just was saying to somebody the other day, it's a matter of time before Uber drivers say, I'm sorry, I don't pick up at the beach, because they're tired of their cars getting totally slaughtered with sand and salt water. And it's probably going to happen. It'll make those gated communities like Bonita Bay and Pelican Landing and West Bay Club super popular, because they have the built-in beach clubs that come with them. I think in addition to that, people want things to do, and we dry up with things to do here in the summer, because it's just, number one, it's the climate. It rains every day. And then there are a lot of people that just, season's over, they shut her down, or they take the time off, and they kind of don't get their wheels back under them for the locals. And the locals want to hear live music and have festivals and those sorts of things. So they would like more to do in the summer, I think.
Yeah. And, I sometimes see that, I've only lived here full time for 4 years, but my family's been here for 20, that we're becoming a little more of a year-round community, but there's still those gaps. It's still that we kind of, there's a perception in some ways that things stop in the summer, that no one works in the summer, or things don't happen in the summer. But I hear you saying, there's the population that wants to do more, that the audience is there, and it's kind of things that you're hearing from your group as well. So.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's always looking for something to do, or everybody loves live music. And I think the Promenade has live music in the summer, and Naples Beach Hotel. So, and they get mobbed. They get mobbed. You know, if you build it, they'll come.
Yeah. Well, and it's a great message to the restaurants and to the other places out there who, you know, have this hypothesis that no one's here in the summer. It's like, let's pay attention, people. People are here. They want to come. And when you have it, you know, they'll come and they'll turn out and give great events, which is what makes a city grow and feel like a community.
Absolutely.
So, great. Good. One last question. So, if you could start your career in Bonita over again, what would be the first thing that you would do? How would you get started? What would you do here now, based on all that you know?
Well, you know, that's funny because like I have a monthly newsletter that goes out with MailChimp to like all of my database, my clients, and I wrote, partly because of the group, people asking like how to make friends, like they move, especially in the summer, people move here and then everybody goes in their air conditioning and it's hard to see people because everybody's hiding indoors. And I don't remember if it was like 10 or 15 ways to make friends in Bonita, and because people don't know how to do it. And I think one of the first things I said was to take the Leadership Bonita course at the Chamber of Commerce, because you're doing something long-term and establishing really meaningful friendships. They're not superficial at all. Joining a service organization like Kiwanis or Rotary Club. I was a member of Rotary for many years. You get to meet the best people or get to go to a lot of organized events. There's tons of newcomers clubs. And I think that's it. It's just to meet the core people. And from there, you know, you can go out into your hobbies and that sort of thing. But I think that those would be probably the first big three things.
Yeah, that's great. When in our show notes, we'll grab your article and put some of those resources into the show notes, because I think they'd be beneficial for a lot of people, and even people who have been here for a while who are just maybe not feeling quite as involved as they would like to be, or that would be good for their careers or businesses, to just know more people than the people that you're immediately surrounded with. Well, Chris Griffith, this has been fun to meet you in person instead of just virtually online in the Facebook group. Tell us where they can find more about you and the group.
Well, you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Bonita Springs. You can always join the Bonita Springs Estero Community Forum, and I have a website and blog located at www.lifeinbonitasprings.com.
Lifeinbonitasprings.com. Great. And you write regularly there, and then you also have the information about your listings and your real estate work.
Absolutely.
Right? Great. Terrific. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure.
What a great idea, huh? It just shows that when you seek to serve your community, you can serve yourself and your business too. Thanks, Chris, for sharing your insights with all of us. You can find a link to the Bonita Estero Community Forum on Facebook, as well as other resources on BonitaBusinessPodcast.com. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to our podcast updates, and you will be among the first to know about every episode. We really appreciate it when you stay in touch and share it with your friends and family in Bonita as well. I'm Bonita business coach Darcy Eikenberg, and thanks for being here. Remember, Bonita may mean beautiful, but it also means business. Bye for now.